Going on? Hold on one second. What's going on? What's going on? To all my embracers, this is Grace from Embrace the Grace, and it is 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and we are here to start our show. For all my new embracers who don't know who I am, my name is Grace from Embrace the Grace. Is there an echo?
Nah, I don't hear anything.
No, I hear a huge echo. I don't know why on my end. Yeah,
I don't hear one on my end.
Hey, Gary, do this. Try this. Mute, and I'm gonna mute. Grace, go ahead and talk when we mute it.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. I don't hear an echo now. Anyway, back to the show. My name is Grace from Embrace the Grace. And to all my embracers, you guys already know who I am and what I'm about. But to all my new embracers and my first timers, welcome. And thank you for coming. My channel is a channel where we have the uncomfortable conversations and the necessary conversations. We don't make pretend the pink elephant is not in the room. And I am an advocate for men, especially African-American men, because why? I have an African-American son, and a lot of the things that he's exposed to and is enduring are a lot of these topics that needs to be talked about. As far as where you can find me, you can definitely find me on YouTube on Embrace the Grace, IG, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You can find me on the JBJ Network on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. I will be on the Broadway Global Media panel, or I'm part of the show, the chat, whatever I need to do to show Gary D my support. Friday nights at, I know it starts at 8 p.m., but I personally won't be there till around 9:15 because I don't get off on Fridays till 9. So Gary, I will be a little bit late on Friday nights, but I will definitely be there. So other than that, with no further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my Gary D. He's been rocking with me since the first of the year, and he's had a tight grip, and I appreciate you. Week in and week out, you're always there. You're always giving me feedback, positive reinforcement, giving me topic ideas, everything, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And I also got Smitty from Smitty's Corner. He jumped on the boat, and he been rocking with us since then, and I welcome him because he adds everybody that comes to the panel. Anybody that says anything in the chat is because you guys bring a value, and I want to appreciate you. So with no further ado, Gary, go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us where we can find you, and then we'll go on to Smitty, and then we'll go straight to the show because it's a pretty good one tonight, guys. Go ahead, Gary. How you doing tonight? You're mute.
I think my mic was off. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What's up, everyone? This is Gary D, co-hosting here with Embrace the Grace. I'm enjoying her shows, all the great topics. I think we've got about 30 that we've come up with. You can catch me with Boardwalk Global Media. We have a few podcasts that we do. We've been on hiatus, but we'll be back shortly. We're on Friday nights from 8 p.m. until 10 p.m. And you can catch us on all the platforms. You could find us on Instagram, Facebook, either Boardwalk Global Media or The Real Discussion. And I send it back to Grace.
Okay, Smitty, your turn. Tell us what you about, where we can find you, and we'll get right to it.
Gary, so respect to you. Of course, as always, it's your boy Smitty. You can find me definitely right here every Thursday with the lovely host Embrace the Grace. And you can also find me on Smitty's Corner if you want to check out the videos I have there. And you can also find me on IG at County King, spell County with a K, no space. I digress. My mic is muted. Let's rock out.
All right, gentlemen. So this week, I thought about a show because we've been talking about having sexual compatibility. We've been talking about figuring out conflict resolution. We've been talking about the importance of therapy. But then I thought about this. A lot of the times that we can't communicate effectively is because we're not speaking the same language. We're not speaking each other's love language. And there is such a thing as a love language. Gary, do you have an open window of YouTube?
An open window of YouTube? No. Why? What are you hearing? Are you hearing
because
something?
I hear echo. As soon as you put an echo, as soon as you
Gary, just mute. While he's talking, just mute, Gary.
So that means
just
there's an open window on your browser. So I was like, wow, I don't think a lot of people know about the five love languages, because guys, there is actual thing as a love language. If me and Smitty are dating and he only speaks English and I'm trying to speak Spanish to him, he's not going to understand what the hell I'm trying to say to him. But if I try to understand his language and he tries to understand my language, we can at least try to comprehend each other. And the same concept goes for love. Everyone perceives and receives love differently. And we're going to get into the 5 love languages. We're going to get into how we can effectively apply them to our relationships to have better relationships. Again, the things that we speak of here are, if you can either accept it or reject it. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if it fits, you better wear it. Because a lot of times that we have conflict in our relationships is because we're not understanding the other person's love language. So with that being said, Smitty, have you ever heard of this concept, the 5 love languages, and what's your take on it, real quick on it?
As far as the 5 love languages, okay. So yeah, as far as the 5 love languages, I would say I put that somewhat in the same category as far as the 5 senses, you know? So if you're really talking about love language, like, you know, I think we take this kind of out of proportion a lot of times when it comes to what really is, you know, love language, right? What really is that? And a lot of people say my love language is food. My love language is gifts. No, a love language is definitely something that first and foremost is truly organic. Love language has everything to do with more so internal than external anything, right? So I would say when it comes to that, the reason why I brought up the 5 senses is because you definitely, in some form or fashion, touch is a language. Let's just be for real. Nobody wants to go to bed with somebody smelling like a garbage can. The senses, that's a language. It is, right? You see where I'm at? The actual visual.
I agree with you.
How your partner looks, that is a love language. So that is the reason why I put all of these things into that category of love language in my personal view, right? Even down to touch, right? Of course. You as a woman, you want your man to feel nice and strong, no matter if he looks whatever. You want to feel a nice, strong body that holds you. And you know what I want to feel? I don't want to feel my homie I'm dapping up. I know that much. I want to feel a soft touch, you know? I want to smell some perfume, you know? I might want to run my fingers through your hair, considering it's yours. But that's another story. But
true. That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. But you see where I'm at with it. So that's my love languages. I put it in the same category as the 5 senses. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Okay. I think Gary dropped off to try to come back, so the echo wouldn't sound. So we'll wait on his answer when he comes up. But you made a very good point, Smitty. It's not one of the official love languages, but senses are important. They really are. Okay, here we go. Gary's back up. Let's see if we can do better with this echo. Hold on 1 second.
Finish what you're saying after he done real quick, and then Gary, go ahead. I want to hear what you had to say first because you was on to something. Go ahead. But go ahead, Gary.
The reason I really agree with you, Smitty, about senses is because I am a very sensory person, and that's another Scorpio trait, by the way. To many people, touch, sight, vision, taste, and smell is a big part of our attraction to a person. There is nothing to me like a well-groomed, good smelling, I mean, it just does something to me. You know what I'm saying? Because it awakens my senses first. And a lot of people may say it's shallow or you only like him because he looked good. But most people are physically attracted to a person first. They're physical. I mean, he could be the finest guy in the world, but as soon as he opens his mouth, it is done.
And you said it, Grace. You said it because I was going to go to the hearing.
See a beautiful woman.
You got that damn delay.
I want the way you sound, your voice, the way you. That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that. But with that being said, Gary, thanks for dropping off and coming back because now we don't hear the echo. Gary, question: have you ever heard of the concept of 5 love languages, and what's your take on it? And don't forget to press the like button, everybody.
Yes, I've heard I've heard of the 5 different love languages, and you know, it's very interesting because everybody, you know, I think we've been taught or we've been conditioned to feel that there's a one size fits all, right, when it comes to, you know, dealing with your love language or you communicating your love language. And after I've did my own research into that a couple of years ago, you know, I think what people fail to realize is that everybody's love language is not the same, right? Like, and absolutely. You have, and I think part of getting a partner that you're comfortable with is also being able to have the same love language, right? At least that works a lot better. But I mean, if y'all don't have the same love language, but at least be able to understand what each other's love language is, because I think that's a very important part. Because I think that a lot of people, or most couples, they don't understand each other's love language because, you know, people think, okay, I'm going to give you flowers. I'm going to give you cards. I'm going to give you candy. I'm going to take you out to dinner. You know, there's some women that don't want that. You know what I mean? Some women, that doesn't matter, right? It's so you have to find out what the other person's love language is, right? I've learned that mine is communication. Like, if we can't communicate, because through effective communication, you're able to build intimacy, right? And if you can't do that, what's the point, right? So for me, communication is my love language. So if I'm dealing with a woman that I'm in a relationship with, we're going to have to, that's paramount. Like, we have to be able to communicate, and not only communicate effectively, but it has to be like second nature, right? So I guess that's kind of my take on it, where I think that couples have to understand each other's love language, and it has to just flow effortlessly when you're talking with each other or whatever you're doing. I mean, some people, or I should say some women, their love language may just be taking care of their man, right? Being, servicing, right? You know, getting him his beer when he comes in from work, ironing his clothes, you know, stuff like that. Being very affectionate, right? That may be her love language. Now, if the guy is not an affectionate guy and he's not into that, that's not going to work. You follow what I'm saying? So I think that people need to just figure out what their respective love language is. And if you could find a partner that's compatible with that, then, you know, it's a win.
Absolutely, because you'll be speaking each other's same love language. And while I was doing the research for this show, I realized that as I've gotten older, my love language has changed. That's why we have to constantly stay on top of that, especially when you're in a new relationship, because different things may mean different things at different times in your life and phases. So I realized that my love language from 4 years ago is not the same presently. And it surprised me, but it shows me maturity and it showed me growth, because the things that I saw important 5 years ago are not that important to me now. Other things are important to me. So, okay. So Gary, you mentioned that your love language is communication. Okay. Smitty mentioned that he is very sensory. That's one, like, his major love language. And I realized after doing my research, because I actually took the quiz, that's another thing, ladies and gentlemen, you first find out what your love language is, just like Gary said, and then talk about with your partner what their love language is, and then you can learn each other's love language. So with that being said, before I even pulled up love language, I pulled up the definition of language. What is language? The principal method of human communication consisting of words used in a structured, conventional way and conveyed by speech, words, writing, or gestures. Means of which human beings as members of a social group and participants in its culture express themselves. Language is a vital part of human connection. Although all species have their own way of communicating, us humans are the only ones that have mastered cognitive language communication. Language allows us to share our ideas, our thoughts, feelings, with others. But what we have to understand, if you don't take nothing away from this show tonight, everybody interprets, perceives, and receives love differently. The way we were loved as a child, the way we were raised, our life experiences are determining factors on how we feel love. And that's why tonight I am bringing the importance of the 5 love languages. So before I get into the 5 love languages, Smitty, what did you have to say, my dear? You there?
No, yeah, I'm right here. So just
What did you have to say?
yeah, I got you, baby. You know you on that delay. It's all good. So look, I'm not again, Gary. I'm not disagreeing with you, brother, but just
Bro, you
I
got
guess
your own
I would say,
opinion.
huh?
I said you have your own opinion, so it's all good.
Yeah. So I would just say, when it comes to, let's say, when you was like somebody who speaks your love language, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I'm hearing like I need somebody to kind of reinstate and reassure basically my ideologies and what I say is correct. Now, as a man, I can totally understand that considering you're going under the leadership protection role, right? So you have to insert and put in place certain implications, right? But I say this, you know how they say the old saying, opposites attract. Now, I know we can say like, oh yeah, because most light skin like dark skin, most thinner like thicker, and vice versa, and tall short, whatever. Nah, that's the surface in which people are looking at. So when we're thinking about the whole form of opposites attract, just like two batteries, right? You have to put one facing one way, one facing the other way, in order for the remote or whatever usually to work, right? So same thing in that sense, as far as it's actually healthy if you're talking about your love language is speech. I would say it's healthy to be with somebody who doesn't necessarily challenge everything you say, but they just may have a different outlook, or they may have another perspective, because that's what allows the both of you to bounce off ideas and grow. When you're around too many people and they all agree with you all the time, you then become complacent, and your status of your elevation of, mentality, spirituality, intelligence, and the whole nine. Because if everybody's always telling you that you're right, and including your significant other, then usually, and I've seen it, a lot of people get complacent and they say, what more do I need to learn? So I would say, don't shy away from somebody who doesn't have every single same, let's say thought process or ideology or way of thinking as you. Because we all have our own way of doing things, but as long as we get the job done and it's done correct, I think that's what's most important. But with that said, I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Okay, thank you for that, Smitty. So, where did the concept of the 5 love languages come about? So, in 1992, an author by the name of Gary Chapman, a Southern Baptist pastor with a doctorate in adult education, introduced this concept to the world with his seminal book, The 5 Love Languages: The Secret to Love That Lasts. Again, if you don't take anything away from this show, I need people to realize and learn that it's very important that people realize that everyone has different ways of expressing and understanding love. We all give and receive love, and he put it in a nice little box of 5 different ways. The love languages framework helps you more introspective at what you are, what one needs from their partner. So let's start with the first one. And I've noticed after doing my research, Gary and Smitty, that this is one that's very, very popular with the men, due to the fact that, if my ladies out there don't know, one of the biggest ways that you can show your man that you love him is through respect. Whether it's respecting him in his presence or respecting him out of his presence. So let's get in it. Words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is the most common love language. It is also the only love language that revolves around verbal expression. They are words that communicate your love, appreciation, and respect for another person. They are positive words and phrases used to uplift someone. And you guys, I think this is one of the easiest love languages, but it's one of the hardest for people to do. I mean, it's just simple things, just like saying to your man, babe, thanks for all you do. I appreciate it when you put gas in my car and I run out of work in the morning and I don't have to go do it. Everything is better when you're here. I couldn't do this without you. I'm so lucky to have you. Just little words like that. You guys, you ladies do not understand. Why am I saying you ladies? Again, I'm an advocate for men. We expect so much from our men, but a lot of us women give so little. And I'm tired of our men walking around here feeling unvalued, underappreciated, and not loved correctly. Damn, how hard is it to tell your man a few times out of the week, babe, thanks for what you did. Thanks for cooking dinner for me tonight. You know, thanks for picking up the kids that allow me to go get my nails done. I mean, we take things for granted, but we don't see what we, both women and men, do for each other so much in a relationship. And those little words can mean so much to a person. Maybe they've never heard words like that growing up, so they crave that from the person that they're from. So really sit on this. And I want you guys to dissect it, my men. Smitty already agreed to what I said, that showing respect to a man is one of the biggest form of showing him love. My beloved Kevin Samuels used to say, as us women, we're supposed to inspire and motivate our men. Gary, what do you have to say about that? Words of affirmation.
Absolutely. Words of affirmation is very important. I mean, unfortunately, you have a lot of ungrateful women out there who I think are in, they're in relationships for convenience, stuff like that. Not saying that there aren't men out there that's like that, but I think you have a lot of women out there that's just in a relationship for convenience and for a lifestyle, right? If you really care about your partner and love your partner, then words of affirmation should come naturally, right? So I think that is, that is very important. And men, men want to hear, right? From their lady, these nice things, like these nice words of affirmation. Like, I don't care how macho, super alpha, what have you, men want to hear these things, especially from the lady that they're in love with, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to happen all the time, but at least show your genuine appreciation. But also too, to a lot of these women out there, don't say it if you don't mean it, right? Like, and I'll be the first to say, and I've been in situations where I've said, like, don't say it because I want you to say it, right? You have to feel it, right? So if you feel that you're in love with me, or you care about me, or you're thankful for what I did for you, if you feel it, genuinely feel it, then okay, then you say it. Don't say it because I want you to say it, right? And I think that you do have some of these women out there, they'll say it because it's the right thing to do, not because they feel it. You follow me? Very, very big difference. Very, very, very big difference, right? They'll say it because it's the right thing to say, because, oh, if I say this, then he'll give me what I want, or he'll get me what I want, right? And that's not how we build, or develop a healthy relationship here. So, it's important that that women, when they are talking to their man and giving their man words of affirmation, be very genuine about it. Like, you have to really care about him. Really, if you're really in love with him, you have to be genuine. If you're not genuine about what you're saying, then don't say it.
Absolutely. I agree with you, because why are you going to say something that you really don't mean? You're saying it because out of force. This should be out of choice, not force. But Gary, I do have to step up for the ladies now. I need my men also to notice women too. Thank them for taking care of their kids more. Thank them for putting them to bed, making sure that the household. Women need to hear that too, because to some women, words of affirmation is their love language. And
I totally agree.
yes,
I totally good.
men
But
need to
can I
hear
say
it.
that? But let me just say this. But I think the problem with a lot of, I believe, and what I've seen, the problem with a lot of women out there, with a good deal of women out there, is that they've dealt with so much toxic relationships in the past that when they do get a guy that actually says all of this stuff, it really doesn't matter, right? Like, they're not, because there are guys, and I know guys that have actually done that. Like, they've taken care of their kids, they've, done stuff around the house, they've helped her, and it's almost like she didn't know what to do, didn't know what to say, didn't even really acknowledge it. And when she did acknowledge it, it was like no big deal, right? So my point that I was saying is that there's some of these women who they've been accustomed to toxic relationships, right? Which kind of that has become their love language, and that could be a different conversation for a different time. But I think that is I just wanted to point that out there, is that some of these women, they've dealt with toxic relationships. So when they get a guy that actually does those things, some of them, they don't even know how to respond properly, or even communicate it properly, like stuff like that. So I think that's a problem too.
I hear you. So Smitty, you agreed with me when you heard me say that respecting and showing, displaying your man respect is one of the biggest ways that a man feels loved. But you wrap that up with words of affirmation. What do you have to say about that?
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Boy. So where I am is this. Okay. This is not a choosing sides comment. This is a man speaking to men. Okay. So at some point we gave up our power. And I've spoken about this before. Now, I'm talking about even during our parents' and maybe grandparents' age almost. We gave up our power at some point, right? It wasn't taken from us or anything. We just dropped it and stopped using it. And to be quite honest with you guys, and Grace, I talked to you on the back ends. And I've spoken about this. All of the trying to figure out who's more at fault does not bring us any closer to what the solution is. All right. So I know as a man, and as a man who has grown up around men and who has observed men, I notice the decline. Okay. There are still solid brothers out here, but the fact is, it's not enough of us. Okay. So where I'm at is men from the very beginning, we are built, constructed, and designed to address all conflict to the death of us. That's just our duty. We, to a degree, are instinctively built to be somewhat in a kamikaze type form for the right cause. And generally that right cause is our women, children, and the village. So all of this, like, oh, you know, women aren't appreciative. I would tell you this much, and I only speak on myself like I usually do, right? I don't get that type of disrespect. I have before. Oh, definitely. I've had women that tried to test me, try to play with me, right? But I don't get that disrespect. I don't. I really don't in real life. And primarily, the reason behind that is because everything that you were saying, Gracie, as far as like, thank you for this and that. Well, the men have to definitely, us as men, we have to make sure that we are commendable. My father was always telling me about how he loves Father's Day cards. And you know what he was saying? He was like, basically in a nutshell, you have to make yourself Father's Day worthy. You can't be a shitball all through the year. Then when your birthday and Father's Day come around or something like that, you expecting folks to pray. Nah, man, don't work like that. And yes, ladies, same thing on your aspect and on your side as well. But I'm speaking to the men right now, right? So we have to remember that if we are not addressing the conflict, because I come across a lot of men nowadays that like, they don't even want you to like address a woman. If you even try to like talk and have a little go back and forth, you're not disrespecting her. You're not cussing at her, nothing. It's like I find more men nowadays stopping solid men from projecting their authority and their masculinity in the situation. So the reason why I'm saying all this is that I don't be doing all that really looking at who's more at fault. And the more we keep on talking about ladies do this, men do that, ladies do that, men do that, I think we're going to keep on losing sight of what the real target is. And the real target is we need to go ahead and fix this shit. And we're not going to fix this shit, keep on talking about ladies are wrong or men are wrong. You can advocate for the women. You can advocate for the men. We can advocate for each other without having a bunch of dividing and shit. And that's all that I'm saying with that. But with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Okay, so my last thought on words of affirmation is for a person who tends to place a great deal of importance on what their partner says, hearing words of affirmation makes them feel valued, satisfied, and happier in that relationship. You strengthen communication, you nourish emotional intimacy, which plays a crucial role in relationships. Ladies, men need and want affirmation and compliments. You must speak life into your man. Affection draws you closer to him as well. So now, love language number 2, gentlemen, and to all my embracers out there and JVJ networkers, act of service is best described as doing something for your partner that you know they would like. Gift giving or receiving. And this is not really a hard one, and it doesn't have to be major all the time. Have you guys ever heard of that saying, it's the little things that count? Well,
absolutely.
This is where it's imperative. Pay attention to detail. Consider the things your partner doesn't enjoy doing and do it for them. Focus on acts that are easy for you to accommodate into your schedule. I'm not saying go kill yourself and go get a Birkin bag for her. I'm not saying go do things for you that's out of your realm of reality, but utilize your strength. If you're handy around the house and you're able to do things for her and save her money versus calling somebody, if that's your strength, then hey, do that. For example, knowing how I like my coffee and bringing it to me how I like it, I love that because you paid attention to detail. You know what I like. You know, I can ask my son right now, and anybody ask him, how does your mom like your coffee? And he'll know right away. If it's before 2 p.m., she likes hot coffee. If it's after 2 p.m., she likes iced coffee. And he'll tell you the recipe on how I like. Why? Because he's learned to pay attention to detail. I'm going to give you guys a little gem that I'm going to drop to y'all men. Set up a memo pad in your phone and write little things that you notice that your girl likes. And it could be vice versa. And you'll look like a rock star, and she'll think, or he'll think that you remembered everything about her. And maybe you did, or maybe you didn't, but you can always use that memo pad to refer back to. Okay, she likes her coffee like this. Her favorite restaurant is this. Her favorite perfume is this. You know, these are little acts of services that you can do. Putting gas in her car before going to work. Washing the car and making it look nice for the weekend. That is a love language to somebody. And if you know that that's their love language to somebody, then all it takes is the little things that count. What do you have to say about that, Gary?
No, you're right. I mean, look, I know, speaking for myself, I mean, I have a memory like a camera, right? So, and I've been fortunate that for the women that I've dealt with in the past, there's been different situations where it's like, oh my God, you remember everything. Because part of my character is paying attention to detail. If I'm really into a woman that I'm talking to and stuff like that, and we vibe, and I'm going to pay attention to detail, like from what she likes to wear, from how things go at work, to maybe what colors she's into, to maybe what TV shows she likes. So all of these things, I pay attention, especially to the things that makes her happy, brings her joy, right? So I've always been one to be in tune with that. I mean, I had a friend one time and she's married. She was like, "Oh my God, my husband doesn't even remember the things that you do," right? So, you know, so I think that is very important, and I think also too, you know, having a woman, dealing with a woman that appreciates that, right? That likes that, right? It's not just having your partner ask you to do something, because I think that with some women, they you know, they don't want to have to ask. Well, men, we feel the same way too, right? You, as a woman, you got to pay attention to what your man likes. I've been fortunate to have dealt with women where they pay attention to the things that I like, and they've done it, and they would say, "I know you like that." Now, if they like doing those things, and that's something that's a part of them, that's just natural, that just makes it that makes it just so much easier. But it's definitely important to pay attention to detail, right? Things that are not said, right? You know, that goes a long way. That goes a long way. And I pass it back to you, Grace.
Absolutely. And lovely loner, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Don't forget to press the like button, and I hope that you subscribe. But they said something that the little things are the big things. And that says a lot. It doesn't always have to be big things. You know what I'm saying? It's the little things. And Smitty, acts of service. What do you think about that?
Um, okay. I view acts of service, honestly,
Do you pay attention to detail when it comes to your girl?
yeah, all right. So I'm very detail oriented, period. I don't know if you remember, I'm the guy who said I do notice like little stuff like when you get your eyebrows done. Yeah, I do notice that. You know what I mean? Like that little stuff, definitely. I'm very detail oriented. But my thing is what I'm saying. When you're talking about like the whole servitude, right? I look at that different for men and women. So for men, the servitude is the protectance and providence, right? I'm serving you a comfortable living through my hunter gatherer mentality. And in this day and age, hunter gatherer mentality would be like going out there to get the bag, right? If you want to say. Me making sure that I choose the proper place for us to live so you ain't got to feel uncomfortable when you're going back and forth to our local shopping center. I got to pick the right place. I got to make sure that all these things and all these measures are put in place before we make any further moves, right? So I would say that's the man's part. We got to make sure that the way we move is a way that the woman always feels like, okay, bet he got it. I don't even have to worry about touching the radio. He can drive and DJ. He got it, right? Now on the woman's side, I would say that affirmation of the servitude comes from the backing of that man. When you see that he really is a man that is of servitude of the community and the community receives that man in well respect, then you need to go ahead and back that man, right? You need to make sure that whatever it is that's going on, you need to be of good counsel. You need to be of relief. And sometimes, yes, going to the physical. Sometimes the relief is just watching you walk around the house in something nice and just looking cute, just going back and forth. Sometimes that's what it is, you see? So I would say all of those things have definitely a part to play. But with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Lena, it is also good to see you, lovely. How you doing, bro?
Hello, hi, Smitty. Hello to our wonderful
Hi,
host
Miss
today.
Lena. How are you? How are you, honey?
How you doing, guest? I forget his
Somebody
name.
mute. Somebody, if you're not talking, mute so it's no echo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
You sound good,
Yeah, we
Lena.
can hear
You
you.
good, baby. You good, baby.
Okay, I like the fact you're doing this. The 5 love languages. We needed this. Like, how do you express love and how do you want love shown? This is a really good one. I just came
Thank
in on it,
you.
so I'm not sure if everybody what everyone said. Like, to me, I always like, I guess nobody asked me, but how I looked at it. I've always liked I do very well with verbal praise, and like I like verbal praise, and then the other thing I like is acts of servitude, like acts of services or whatever. And I'm like, oh, like he he put air in my tires. Oh my god. Or he made up the bed for me. He opened the door. Like, those tiny things really are big for me.
Lena,
Hmm.
what does that man get in return?
How I express love, my expression of love is different. If I
Okay.
really care about you, I am verbally praised. I do that. And sometimes I think gifts. Like, I do gifts. Like,
Okay.
okay, I know what was an act like my ex, he'll tell you I gave good gifts. Like, I knew he liked cologne, he was running low, so I bought his favorite cologne. I knew his shirts, his favorite color. Like, I know he liked Jordan. I knew his favorite colors are black and white. I got him a
Okay.
black white
Okay.
Jordan shirt because I was observant. I wanted him to like what I gave. That was like my appreciation. But even though I did that, that's not the way he wanted to receive love. He liked it. He
Mm.
thought, oh, you thoughtful. But his way of, especially, he likes service. I didn't
I
have the time like that.
I ain't gonna lie, Lena. Honestly, love, like that is probably one of the most dopest things you said since I've been on the panel with you ever. Honestly, the fact that you said clear as day everything. Now, I can't speak for that man. He's not here. I don't know that whole circumstance, but I can say I can definitely tell you, most men, that is dope as shit. When a woman, like you say, you paid attention to the colors, the shirt size, the favorite cologne, you know what, his type of scent. That's huge. Like to a lot of guys, that's a big thing. So if that didn't work with that guy, I can promise you 80 to 90% of men, we definitely look for that because that's a part of the respect. Part of the respect is you pay because you're paying attention.
Mm.
That's a
I
part of
pay.
the respect,
He
being
would say,
attentive.
I
So
understand where
yeah,
you come from. I do pay attention to what he liked. He would say I wasn't paying attention because you know how he said what he wanted me to express. I'm just now thinking about it. Like he had a job interview, and I kept asking him, "Where's the shirt? Where's the shirt?" I was going to take it to the cleaners and have them do it professionally. No, the day of, he's washing, drying. I washed it, dry it, whatever. He was like, "Can you iron it?" I really didn't have time, but I ironed it, and I'm not the best ironer. So he was like, it's still that I tried to get it together was big to him. And I'm like, I don't even know how to iron it. I didn't even do that well, but he likes extra service. Like if he came home to a clean house and a cooked meal, he is in heaven. He's like, oh, look what my girlfriend did. Look what she did. And I feel like, you gotta read like how they feel like they're being loved. Like me, he's bought me stuff, and I do like bought stuff, but I don't have to have it. But I do like servitude, and I like praise. His praise was far and few and in between, and I felt like I wasn't appreciated and loved. All you would have to do, and I guess I can't say completely. He would say praise stuff, but not in the way I wanted him to. He would praise my appearance. Oh, you look good today. I like your hair.
Okay, Lena, this is the perfect example. This is the perfect example. Hold on, Lena. I gotta say this. Lena just said she paid attention, and I got you intellectual soapbox. I see you. But this is the perfect example. She said she paid attention to his favorite colors.
Somebody
Attention. Somebody has mute.
You good now, Grace? You good, baby? Go ahead.
Okay. Lena did everything what she thought was right. She paid attention to his favorite colors. She paid attention that he loved Jordans. She paid attention that he loved cologne. And she was doing a great thing as a girlfriend. But at the end of the day, that was not his way of how he felt loved. Do you see? That's what I'm so glad. And Smitty said, well, if that didn't work for him, then I don't know. But you see, Smitty and Lena, that's what I'm trying to teach y'all in tonight's show. That was great of you, Lena. But at the end of the day, that's not how he felt loved. And we can't fault him for that. Because again, everybody has a different perception and understanding how they feel loved. How did he feel loved? It sounds like acts of service was his love language. He loved it when you ironed his shirt. Maybe it wasn't the best ironing in the world, but he was proud to know that when he went into that interview, that his girl ironed his shirt. And that is the biggest takeaway from this show that I want everybody to take. Lena, you did great things, but at the end of the day, acts of service was his love language, and you were trying to push what you thought would make him feel loved. But no, and that's what we do wrong a lot in relationships. We love a person how we think that they should be loved, and that's not the case. We need to love our partners the way they feel loved, the way they interpret that they're being loved. And I just had to put that out there because you guys just proved the importance of why we need to learn each other's love language. So with that being said, what's up, fam? Intellectual Soapbox. Let us know where we can find you. And I know you've been hearing us and what we've been talking about. And I love that when you come up, because you're one of the married couples. You've been married for a minute, and everything that I try to talk about and try to have people embrace, you're applying it every day because you're married. So tell me, what is your take on love languages? Have you ever heard the concept of love languages?
Lord, Grace, you trying to tell my business all the time. I tell you. I'll say this. I think you require. I think you need all five, to be honest with you. But you need them in different points of your life. I think everybody needs them at different points. There's gonna be times where I'm gonna need you to have words of affirmation. Like it's just, I have an iron will. I am very, very strong-minded, and I'm very assertive in what I want to get done. I'm gonna get something done, especially when it comes to business or anything related to my personal life, the way my house is, anything. If I want to get something done, it's gonna get done. You know what I mean? So, but sometimes, even within my iron will, sometimes I still may need those words of affirmation, to spur me on. You know what I mean? Or sometimes I may need acts of service, and you know what I mean? It just kind of depends on where I'm at throughout the day or what's going on within my life or my daily routine. And you know what I mean? What things am I facing? What challenges am I facing? What has encouraged me at the moment? What's really impacting me as a man and overall as a person. And because day to day, week to week, there are things that are going on. You know what I'm saying? And when you're in a relationship, you just got to be in tune. You got to be in tune with what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And understanding that you and your partner, y'all both are changing and shifting at all times. You know what I mean? At all times. And if you're not aware of that, or you just think that, they had a bad day, but that was just Monday. And it's Thursday, so everything should be fine. No, you got to ask questions. Because maybe if you ain't asking that question, maybe they need that physical touch in that moment, right? That physical touch needs to happen. You know what I mean? Or maybe they need you to actively listen. I mean, it's so many things that may need to be done in that moment, but it requires communication. It's not hard. It's not like the most difficult thing in the world. It's not calculus. But I think the love language just kind of breaks it into a form or into a rhetoric that people can understand. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, we're always asking, how does a person feel loved, or what they think love is? So it's basically a guide to love for dummies. You know what I'm saying? Like if you just really having a hard time and you can't really understand what love is, or how to really love somebody, or what that means, or just theoretically what that means, or even applying it to somebody's life, here's a book, read it, and it kind of shows you how to love people in different levels. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think there's one specific one that a person needs, or they don't maybe need one, or they may be three, or they may need all five. I think it's just kind of where you at in life. And then a lot of times people think, and I think this is actually a true statement, that with the love languages, sometimes you gravitate to the one that you was missing the most in your life. So if you never had no physical touch, you ain't never had no words of affirmation, you never had no acts of service, you know what I mean? You never had these things. You know what I mean? You never had nobody really show you that. Now you get in a relationship. Now you want to gravitate towards that, and that's cool if it's communicated. Remember, this all is based on communication. So, you know what I mean? If you're not communicating it, it can't happen. You know what I mean? So, I always say Grace. I always say Grace is a little spicy. I always say that, but it's me joking with her. So. You know what I mean? Grace may have a spicy moment because she ain't communicate something, and now it's going downhill, and it's like, oh shit, like I ain't really mean for this to happen, but man, like she really mad right now. Okay, well how can I get it to the point where we are on the same page again? And that's going to require communication. So yeah.
Food, coffee. I mean, it's very simple. I'm not that hard to get along with, but and you're right. because I did say that at the beginning of the show, and I don't know if you heard it. I've noticed that my love language has changed as I gotten older. Things that meant a lot to me 10 years ago don't mean as much now. And things that didn't mean that much to me 10 years ago matter a lot more. So I feel, and like you said, you're right. We are constantly evolving. We are constantly changing and growing in individuals and as a couple. And I think the biggest thing is, and I'm going to add what each of y'all said, is Gary always talks about effective communication. Smitty's talking about respect. And you were talking about staying in tune. But the biggest thing is that I've noticed is that a lot of people don't take the time to learn each other's love language. And we just expect, like Gary said at the beginning of the show, to put it in the box and one size fits all. And that's not the case. That's not the case, people. We have to, first of all, we have to care enough to learn each other's love language. We have to take the time and sit back and learn each other's love language. So I appreciate what each and every one of y'all said, especially Lena, because she brought up the most important part of it. She was like, I thought I was loving him. And you were, Lena. I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking you. You were doing what most people want. But that's the point. He loved the acts of service. And I'm so glad that you brought it up. So now we're going to move to the third love language. And a lot of people have a misconception of this, but it is important. And I think this is another one that's very important to men, is physical touch. Means you prefer physical expressions of love over all other expression. But I need to put a big side note. It's not always about sex. A hug, a shoulder squeeze, holding hands, that slap in the butt while she walks by you, a pat in the back, an expression of love that is just meaningful. Rubbing somebody's shoulder, just something. To men, yes, sex is important. Absolutely it is. And after words of affirmation, I think one of the biggest ones that comes behind there for men is physical touch. Men not only want sex, but they need it. Physically, they are wired to need sex. And if you guys don't believe me, look at my show that says Sexless Marriages. Look at my show that has compatibility to sex. And I can even give you medical information. They get a lower risk of prostate cancer the more they ejaculate. They get lower heart blood pressure. It relieves stress, not only for men, but for women too. But again, the importance of men having sex and physical touch is imperative. We cannot hold out on the box, ladies, and then get mad because he went out and cheated on you. I mean, to me, it's an oxymoron. That saying, well, if I'm not giving it to you, you must be getting it elsewhere. You're damn right. Does it make it right? Absolutely not. But you cannot expect it's cause and effect. How do you expect your husband that he gave up his player's card, all them other girls for you, professed his love to you, and then you want to play hide and seek with the box? Come on, ladies, we got to do better. And physical touch is a big one. So I'm going to go around the panel and I'm going to ask you, especially the men, and I'm going to start off with Smitty. Smitty, salute Wally. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. What do you have to say about the language of love with physical touch? Are you there?
I'm here now. Okay, my bad.
All right.
Say that again.
Okay.
My bad.
Go ahead. What the language of love of physical touch. What do you have to say about that?
Physical touch. Well, I will resort back to what I was speaking about earlier as far as the five senses. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, for example, me, all right, if we were to be on a surface level, I would say my love language is a woman that can give a good massage because I be needing it. Like, I real deal be needing that sometimes because I'm very physical in my everyday life. And I do get tense around the neck, the back, lower back, and all of that. Like, it's times I definitely do be needing that. So the physical touch is very important. Um, when it comes to your lady and stuff, I would definitely say being in sync with touch as far as knowing each other's spots. Like, I need you to know, I don't like that, this area, or whatever it may be. And these are things that I believe should be respected, but it should be communicated before you all even get together in the first place what your love language of touch is. Because, yes, the sexual gratification of a relationship is extremely important. Extremely. Like, without that, let's say, relief, I mean, yeah, that's when you get the whole cool boy, cable guy, milk guy, the lawnmower man or whatever, and things of that nature coming into play. So one thing that I do know to land it is I better damn sure please her, because if I don't, I know somebody else will. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
I hear you, Gary. The love language of physical touch. How important is that to you and a man overall?
The love language of physical touch, to me, is very important. I mean, if I'm having a bad day, a bad day at the office or what have you, and I think that, I come home and she gives me a hug, or I'm sitting on the couch and she wants to come and sit on my lap, and the affectionate, right, type of physical touch, right, which after having a bad day, I think that that goes a long way, and because she's being affectionate, because you've had a bad day, and how could I make it better, stuff like that. I think that is so very important. The sexual aspect, absolutely. I mean, men, we're wired. We are definitely wired for sex. So if our partner is one where she enjoys doing what we like, and she also enjoys doing it because we like it, that is so much better. That definitely works. So to answer your question, yeah, it's the love language of touch is very of physical touch is very important to men overall. I mean, I think that now to some men, they may want it differently. But like I said, with me, it's definitely the affectionate, after having because anybody knows that, I guess, for those men that's into business and you're dealing with meetings every day and all this other stuff, you come home and it's like, after a bad meeting or stuff like that, you want to decompress. And if you have your lady there and she just wants to hug you or just be affectionate with you, just to show you that she cares, because again, there's a key word that you said, and I think it was the other guy that said that she's in tune, right? She's in tune. Like the moment you come through the door, she knows you had a bad day. She just feels your energy off and she wants to make it better. And the affectionate touch to me is great. Now, I'm sure later on at night is going to lead to some steamy sex, but initially the affectionate touch and stuff like that is absolutely needed. Absolutely needed. I pass it back to you, Grace.
Okay, now that we've heard Now that we've heard two perspectives from men, Lena, and then I'll wrap it up with you. So, what do you have to say about physical touch? Because it seems like with women, well, some women, because I'm not speaking for those women, that physical touch is not really that important. What do you have to say, Miss Lena?
I see it as important. It's fairly important for me. Like, but it's not extreme. I guess maybe because I could see it. Well, it depends. Like, okay, for me, physical touch is like a way of communicating physically. Like, you use hand gestures, like a
How
little tap.
important is it for you?
Mm, it's fairly important. Okay, it's important because I use it as a way of communication and expression of communication. Like a hug, or like, okay, it could be a hug, could be for support. A hug can be for love. Oh, I'm glad to see you. A greet. Um, this sounds crazy though. The simplest thing I see as I guess it's pretty big too. For me personally, a big thing that I see is physical touch, and it's so simple. Literally laying next to someone, like laying my head on like a guy's shoulder or my partner's shoulder or on his chest, sleeping together, him holding me. I feel like all of that is like kind of big. I feel that as an expression.
Cuddling.
Yeah, cuddling. I feel that as like physical expression. Like it's part of communication. That's how I feel it. That touch is communication to me. So I see it as being important in order as seeing as being communication. So I see very important. Like it even I'm thinking about the positive. There's negative things that can happen with touch, but it's seen as still part of communication. Like they can like tap you like what you doing, or tap you on your shoulder. Come on, get up. It's time to get up. Or that's still, it might be seen negative, but it's still a way of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Lena,
You're absolutely.
I hate to break it to you, baby, but what you just described was us just going to bed. Okay, that's all that is. We just going to bed. That's it. Okay.
I don't know. I feel it was big because when I broke up and I was so used to sleeping with someone, my bed felt so empty. I had a problem adjusting, going back to sleeping by myself. It was really weird. I've
Was
always
it
had that.
adjusting to sleeping by yourself or being by yourself in its entirety? Just a question.
It was a reminder that I was alone. That's what it was.
Rock out.
Good question. Okay, Mr. Intellectual Soapbox, physical touch. What do you have to say about that?
Physical touch is important. I think, man, it's changed for me. Like as I've gotten older, I don't know what's going on, but as I'm getting older, like I'm about to hit like 40, like it just means something different to me now. Now, like 15, 16, 17 years ago, man, physical touch was like number one. It was physical touch, and she had physical touch, and she had to be pretty. You know what I mean? And maybe in my 20s, I was shallow, and I pretty much was in my 20s. I was very shallow. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I was. You know what I mean? I was shallow. It was about how good she looked, what her shape was like. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. So, and physical touch was definitely a big part of it. So, as I've gotten more mature and I've had my experiences and I'm going through different things, I would say now it's important, but I think more important to me is if you could touch like my mind, my heart, and my spirit. If you could touch my inside man, I don't know. I don't know why that's more important to me now. Maybe because I've gotten smarter. Maybe because it's just a sign of maturity. You know what I mean? Because it's not wrong with me physically. Like there's nothing wrong with me and me being able to do what I do, but it's just something that's different. You know what I mean? I'm more conscious. I'm more aware. You know what I mean? So when I do have my time, with the one I love, you know what I mean? It's a lot more different. Before it'd be like, all right, cool, we here. Ain't no clothes on. Let's get it. But now it's more like communication, setting the mood, talking about certain things. You know what I mean? Or there may be certain things that'll kill the mood, or there'll be certain things that'll lighten the mood. You know what I mean? Just based on what we talking about and just how we flowing and connecting and building in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot different for me now than when I was younger. You know what I mean? When I was younger, it could happen anytime. Anytime
So
it was what it was.
Hey, Soapbox, can I ask you this? Nah, that's very interesting you said that, Brody. So if I'm wrong, let me know. From what I was hearing is I elevated to a certain level. At one point I was just one dimensional, like it was face value. Now that I have had enough experiences, it's now, if the physical can't transcend into the inside of a person, then you don't really see no real value.
Exactly.
I'm with you, bro.
Like, I'm hoping my lady live forever, because I don't think I can ever get back out there. I'm not lying to you. I see what's out there, and I'm like, man, hell no. Man, let me just be, man, let her, man, can we find, all that stuff where they said they could regenerate cells and all that? Hey, can we do the research for that? I ain't saying she's perfect, but, man, I don't want to start this thing over again, man, because what's out there at times, man, is scary, man. It's scary. So, I don't even know if I could even, with my mindset now, like I said, when I was 20, man, it was girls and me talking to girls it was just a dime a dozen. But now, as I'm older, it's just different, man. It's different. I get annoyed at the littlest things. I notice everything. I'm so conscious and aware of things. I'm like, God damn. You know what I mean? It was a lot easier when I was 20. When I was 20, man, my consciousness was off. You know what I mean? And it will only come on for certain things. But now it's like it's a lot different. So yeah.
Yeah, let me chime in here. I definitely agree with a lot of what you said, because look, I mean, I'm 53, right? I'm 53, and as you mature, you're definitely gonna, you're gonna see things differently, right? What mattered back in the 20s. Back in the 20s, we liked the pretty girls, the strippers, and all of that stuff, right? But as you mature, you get your 30, your 40s. Well, you said you're 40, so you obviously seeing and you've different things matter, right? So I can tell you from my experience being 53, you're definitely on the right path there, because it's about your partner's inside. It's the spiritual growth, it's the communication, it's the intimacy. Look, when we were in our 20s, we didn't value none of that, right?
At all.
We didn't value none of that, right? So this is why. But as we get older, these things become a lot more important, especially when it comes to our partner. So like I said, a lot of what you said, I hit the nail, you hit the nail right on the head. And like I said, I could tell you from, experience and being around for quite a while. And like I said, in my 53 years, I've been around the world a few times and seen a hell of a lot. So you're definitely on the right path, bro.
Thank you, big bro. Thank you. I appreciate you. Grace, you muted. Sister, you muted.
Can't hear you, Grace.
Hold on. It's the same thing for us women. The things that I liked in a man 20 years ago are definitely not the same things that I look for in a man now, because my priorities have changed. I've grown. I've matured. There's a couple things that I know that hasn't changed, and I'm not gonna change on that. I can't do 5'9" or shorter. Sorry. I can't. You know, mine was, it had to be 6 feet and all, but I kind of cut it down 3 inches under. But I can't do anything lower. But as far as maturity level, it's okay, guys. It's normal because we get older and we prioritize on what becomes more important to us than what was important to us 20 years ago. So that's all normal. Now we're going to move on to number 4. Quality time centers around togetherness. It's all about expressing your love and affection with your undivided attention. This means that you put down the damn cell phone, turn off the tablet, and focus on them. It makes the person feel important, loved, and special, like you were intentionally setting aside time just for them. Loving a partner who craves quality time actually has very little to do with the amount of time you spend together. It's not based on activities. Quality time is all about how you spend the time together. No matter what you're doing, being attentive and focused will make your partner feel loved. That's another love language. A lot of people emphasize and they feel loved by spending time with the one they love. So if you're with a woman that her love language, and I'm going to tell this to the men, if you're with a woman that you notices that her love language is spending quality time, and you don't put in that time with that woman, you're starving her. You're starving the relationship, and vice versa. And I hear y'all, MOB, money over itches and money over bros. I get it. But what is the point of making all that money and you have your partner at home, sitting home alone most of the time, miserable? You have to learn how to balance it. Do you come between that person and their money? No, absolutely not. But you got to put the time aside, even if you got to schedule it. Tell your secretary, you know, but a lot of you men use that excuse. Oh, well, I was working to take care of you. And then a lot of women use the excuse, well, you're never here, you're always working. Then you don't need to get with somebody that their love language is quality time. And that is why it's so important to learn your partner's love language. You can't be at work 90 hours a week and expect a relationship to thrive. You just can't. I appreciate the man that works hard. I appreciate the man that makes a lot of money. I get it. Trust me, I work a lot too. But you have to put time, effort into a relationship. And then you can't turn around and get upset. It doesn't make it right. Let me put that disclaimer in there. It does not make it right to step out of the relationship. But again, it's cause and effect. You want to work 90 and 100 hours a week to make money that you don't even have time to enjoy. I'd rather my man work 50 hours a week and he gives me a Sunday together. But you're gonna work 7 days a week. I never see you. I never spend time with you. I don't get no physical touch. I mean, come on. It's all about balancing. Go ahead.
Let me say this, and I could tell you this from also experience. When I was working in investment banking and in the entertainment industry, my schedule was literally 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. And I'm not exaggerating. There was a woman I was dealing with at the time. I made time for her, right? I made time for her. So when I do hear guys say, oh, he doesn't have the time, I'm like, that's bullshit. Because if you really care about her, you're gonna carve out the time to be with her, to do stuff with her. Even if you tell her, look, come up to the office, let's do, come and have lunch with me. You carve out the time for her. If you like her that much, some of these guys that like to use the excuse that, oh, well, I'm working, I'm taking care of you. I don't buy none of that, because if you care for her enough, I don't care how busy your schedule is. Because like I said, My schedule at one point in time was damn near around the clock, and I still made time for the lady I was seeing because I cared about her that much.
Exactly. You make time for what you want to make time for. And as simple as that. I trust me, and I'm not trying to sound ungrateful and unappreciative, but you cannot expect a relationship to thrive and move forward and progress if you don't put the time in. I really don't. I rather you trying to work and make and buy me a Maserati, or I'd rather you be home and I'll drive a hoopty, because you know what, having your presence there matters. The kids.
Let me also,
I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Go ahead.
Let me just say this quick. And one of the other things that happened was that she got to a point where she was like, well, I know how much you're into your work, and it means a lot, and that's very important. I told her, I said, you're important too.
You see,
right?
I'm gonna give you a perfect example where that shit can go, where that can go sour. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady lost his marriage, a beautiful wife, and his family, because he chose his career over his family. You were at the top of your game. You have 4 or 5 championships. You got this money. And his wife said, I need you home. The boys are at an age now where they need their father. And he chose football over his wife and family. And now you lost everything and half of everything for what? And then you had a sucky ass season afterwards. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So now, absolutely, go ahead.
I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna be respectful. I'm gonna answer your love language question first, and I'm speaking the Tom Brady thing. That I'm gonna drop off. I would say, as far as quality time, it could be different things. It could be, just reading a book together. It can be going to the park. It can be doing what you're doing right now, eating together, right? It could be watching a movie. It could be just talking. Quality time is a variation of things.
That was a big ass,
right? It's a variation of things, and it's not one dimensional, right? And if you understand that, then you can spend quality time in so many ways. And the thing is that you can invent ways to spend quality time. It doesn't always have to be the same thing. Sometimes y'all just going out to just grab groceries and do your errands for the week. That could be that's quality time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to slice out the times that we have with each other and just make it important. It don't have to be this big, grandiose thing and 500 people show up and all the family got to be there. You got to take a whole bunch of pictures. It ain't got to be nothing crazy like that. You know what I mean? Quality time is y'all two together. Y'all two together. I'm sorry, Grace, my bad. Y'all two together. Either with each other, or even sometimes even quality time is y'all having people over. You know what I'm saying? You're spending quality time with family or people that you care about, and your significant other is liking it, you're liking it, and y'all bonding with people. You know what I mean? It's an assortment of things, man. And you just have to understand that, and it's one of the things that I had to learn a lot too. And even, in the relationships that I've been in, they've had to learn, like, it's not just us sitting at home looking at each other. It's not just us doing one thing or just going places together or just, okay, we always going to go to this coffee shop together. And those things could be sentimental feelings, and that's good. But it's more than that. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. And I think once we really learn that, it makes the relationship more enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, in spending quality time, sometimes you may get tired of the routine, or you may get tired of certain things, or you may need some space some weekends, or they may need some space some weekends, right? And that's why you incorporate other people, you know what I mean, to kind of regulate certain things, man, because we are human. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, and I think when we get in relationships, we stop forgetting that the other person's a human and that we are human. You know what I'm saying? Like we grew up in a household with people that we're related to, siblings, mother, father, whoever, right? Cousins, whoever. At times, no matter how much you love these people, you get tired of them. All right? You want them to go away. You know what I mean? To get out this space for a minute. And sometimes they want you to get out this space for a minute. It's a natural human
It's a
thing.
me time.
I don't care who it is in your life. There's times where you want that person not there. Okay? It's just a natural thing. We all go through it. You know what I mean? Grace, let's say you having your girls' day. Y'all plan to get your hair and nails done. You don't want to see your man right now. It's not the fact you don't love him, but right now, y'all been planning this all week. You know Saturday's coming. You're gonna go. And all of a sudden he shows up at the mall. You like, God damn it. Like I was doing all this just to have some ladies time, and now you coming to the mall and like now it's just ruined. Right? Or he going to the barbershop. He going to the barbershop. You know what I mean? He going to the barbershop. They're gonna watch the game at the barbershop, they're gonna chill. And you come to the barbershop and you're like, oh man, like this is my time. And you kind of, you know what I mean? And that's what, and we gotta understand that. I know it's hard for people to get that sometimes. Oh, this person they should always want me around. No, they don't always want you around. I'm just sorry. That's just how life is.
No.
We have people that are like that. I'm just sorry. As far as the Tom Brady thing, I think and maybe this is more men, maybe this is something that we do more than women. But when we love something, man, when it's a career or profession that we really love, or it's something that we really are dedicated to, it can really consume us. Not to the point that we don't love the people and things around us. I think sometimes, because I felt I was dealing with that when I was trying to get into the tech world. I had to donate a lot of hours in the tech world, man. I had to really chime in and really kind of phone calls and not show up, not go to different things back home, and you know what I mean. I had to kind of really lock in. So when you're doing this, and go to school on top of that. So when you're doing these things, people can feel left out because I don't know what it is with men, man, but we get so devoted to our careers, it almost becomes like a second wife. I hate to admit it. You know what I mean? It's hard to fight against. But when we really love something and we put our time into it, it's hard for us to really, really, and then on top of that, we get success behind it, and we become great at it, and we get acclaim and awards, or you can forget about it. It's through the roof now. We addicted to that thing. We like I said, we are in love with what we do. You know what I mean? And
I get it, but at the expense. At the expense of your marriage and your kids.
It becomes like I said, it can become like a second relationship to us. I know it may be weird for women, maybe I don't understand, but it can become like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not the fact that we don't care about the people that we're around, but we really get engulfed in our professions and the things that we love. I think it's a man thing.
I hear you, man thing, and that's why he divorced now and not raising his boys. And he got a new girlfriend. But hey, it is what it is. Smitty, my boy, how you doing? What you doing over there? Quality. Wait, yeah, we were on quality time.
Okay.
What you got to say about quality time?
Yeah. So I actually had a situation in real life, I'd say about a year or two ago, where me and her, like, we really did get along pretty damn good. Like, she definitely had awesome, we would say, wife material qualities. She can cook her ass off. Man, like, she don't mind cleaning, and when she does, it's like nobody's business. She works hard, all of it, right? But the thing is that her job, she had two jobs. So I would say for about a year and a half, we probably had sex maybe about 7 times. I probably had just like a whole day where we could have a date and just chill and everything else, maybe about 10 to 15 times. She worked damn near like 6 days a week. And honestly, for the most part, I would say we're really probably not together right now because of her schedule. Um, you know, I'm busy as well. We all have things to do, but like I believe Soapbox said it, salute to that. Um, Definitely time will be carved out. And like I said, I've experienced that myself. I know women who have very, very hectic schedules and they will. All right, so look, I got my sister to watch the kids. I got da 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 and all this other stuff. Look, I don't went on ahead and I don't put my PTO in. They will make the time if you are somebody they want to make time for. So the fact is, and the main thing in what I'm saying with all this is that they definitely will choose in that. And is quality time important? Yes, yes. It's the only way for me to really get in sync with you. Um, Me or you, neither one of us are going to really be able to truly get the feel for each other unless we have that where we can say we have weekends here and there where we may stay at each other's place back and forth and just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to say it, kind of play house in a sense, because you do want to get a feel for what's it like living with this person. So I do believe it's healthy to start off with like weekends and, things of that nature, just to see where everything is before you just up and decide to marry and move in with someone and or have a baby by them, right? So with that being said, to land it, quality time is extremely important, primarily to, I would say, the quality time is the soil. The relationship itself is the roots, right? And everything that blossoms from it are the benefits of the flower in which you just planted. So if the soil is real good and the roots can stay firm, then I believe that everything should be just fine. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Great information, gentlemen. And lastly, but not last, well, certainly but not last, the number 5 is receiving gifts. And this love language is perceived as being shallow, but it's not about big ticket gifts. It isn't about money at all. It's about sentimentality behind the process of the gift giving. I gave you guys a perfect example. Don't have you come up to my job and bring me an iced coffee to the job, because I would be so happy with that. Okay? People whose love language is receiving gifts enjoy being gifting something that is both physical and meaningful. Sharing love through presents of all sizes, ranging from small token or trinkets to larger, more expensive gifts. Sending flowers sometimes just because. Buying your partner their favorite snacks at the store, and when they come home, they see it. Buying me tickets to the game. It's again. My guest said it a few comments before. It's the little things that makes the big things matter. Welcome, Wife School Podcast. Thank you for coming and checking me out. I really appreciate it. We're talking about the 5 love languages and the importance of learning each other's love language. We may think we're loving somebody, but they're not interpreting as love to them. And the biggest thing is, guys, is that we have to take the time to learn each other's love language so we can understand how to love each other. I mean, this is a big topic. The book is great. I suggest you guys pick it up. But I think you should start by taking the quiz so you can learn yourself what your love language is. Again, I realized when I did the quiz, when I was doing this research, that my love language changed from just 2 years ago. And I guess because of all the growth and healing and everything that I've been through, things are different now in my life in the way I feel loved, But I also realize that some of my other love language stems from my childhood. Yes, one of my love languages is receiving gifts. Why? Because my dad spoiled, he didn't have time for us because he was always working. So the way he showed love to us is by spoiling us materialistically. He made big deals out of birthdays and Christmases, and he just used to go crazy with it. I mean, I've learned to tone it down because not everybody can be like daddy. But yes, I enjoy little gifts here and tokens here, especially with food. Don't, coffee, bring me food. I'm a happy camper. I'm good. Do I enjoy big ticket items as well? Absolutely. But you got to learn how to level out. You can't expect your man to buy you a Birkin bag every other week. I mean, you got to be reasonable. But I realized that love language stemmed from my childhood. And it's kind of changing, and it's not the same, but you turn to realize where it comes from, and again, what you lacked as a child and what you didn't get enough of as a child. So let's go once again, Gary, receiving gifts. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so dealing with gifts. I mean, I've gotten gifts, and it's been cool. I guess I'm not a gift. I guess I'm not good at accepting gifts. Like, that's just not me. But I mean, I've had relationships where I have lady friends that have given me gifts, and which was good. Don't get me wrong. But as far as me being a gift giver, yeah, I've done that, right? And it's more so not doing it just to do it, right? But being observant, seeing what she likes, right? Seeing what she's into. So I would surprise, like, she may say, she may be talking with her girlfriends, and she may mention, and I overhear her saying about this new perfume that she likes or she wants to get. So it's little surprises like that, like stuff that I pay when she doesn't think that I'm paying attention, I'm paying attention. You follow me? So I'm more of a surprise person, right? So when I do get gifts, I want it to be a surprise, like, oh my, like she didn't know or didn't expect it, but like a complete pleasant surprise, like, so that's how I like to do my kind of gift giving. Is that I want it to be a genuine surprise for her, but also something that I know that she either wanted or was into or spoke about, or maybe thought that she couldn't get it, and then there you go. Then she wound up opening up the gift, and there it is, something that she either wanted or didn't think that she was going to get, or had to down pay or what have you, and there you go. And I surprised her. Like, so that makes me feel good when I can do those kind of surprises. Okay, Grace, I pass it back.
I love surprises. I love surprises, especially if it's giving me a gift. So that makes it even extra special. Something that I'm not expecting. Smitty.
Right. Some people will give gifts.
Finish that.
Some people will give gifts just because, right? They'll give gifts just because, and I understand that and I get that. But I'd rather be in tune to you and hear from you what you like, don't like. Like, just pay attention when you think I'm not paying attention, right? And surprise you with with stuff like that, right? Where it's completely, it's a complete total surprise, and I like that, because it shows, at least to me, that, or she sees that, wow, he really listens and pays attention. Or how did he even know this? or wait, he wasn't
Mhm.
around when I spoke to such and such about this, and there you go. So yeah, but it makes me feel good when I can do those kind of things, those kind of gifts, if that makes sense.
I hear you. Smitty, what do you have to say about receiving gifts? That's the last and final love language.
Uh, Receiving gifts. All right. So I'm gonna be honest with you. All right. So too too large of gifts too early on, I would say to me is that is something that is not necessarily a red flag, but it's something I will observe. I do notice that. So it's like if you're not living in that kind of Jay-Z, Beyonce lifestyle, and like we're just accustomed to, we just get luxurious things. That's just a normal thing, right? Um, Gifts, I would say, like, because I've had women who like, so all right, let me put it like this, just to cut through the fact and get to the meat. So I remember when I came home, started dating this one chick. Let's just say her name is the letter J. All right. So the letter J, right? She knew that I had to kind of get my stuff together. So she saw that I was, I'm attractive and stuff like that. So she like, I'm gonna fix him up. Yeah, she was one of those um project build a bear chicks, if you want to say. Yeah. So she wound up buying me all kinds of nice stuff. I mean, a lot. I mean, shoes, clothes, suits, outfits, everything, you name it. Yeah, good smell goods. We was eating at wonderful spots and all of that. Come to find out, well, there was an alternative motive. What it is that she has a whole lot of insecurities in herself, and she was doing that because, in a sense, she figured I'm buying you. So then that way, if we got into even the slightest little bit of any kind of a back and forth, even if I'm 100% right, her default go to is who dressed you, who paid for this and that. You see what I'm saying? So I learned a lesson on that. I learned a valuable lesson dealing with her on that. So that's the reason why I would say when it comes to the whole gifts, I do look at it depending on the circumstances. I look at it, what are your motives? Because to land it right here, it's not about what you do in any aspect of life. It's about what are your intentions of doing it? Why are you doing it? Do you see? So I'm all about intentions.
Mhm.
So if you're giving me gifts, if genuinely truly your intentions are, I really just I can see what's going on here and I just want to add to it. That's one thing. If your intentions are, okay, bet this looks like a wonderful situation where I can quote unquote tame a lion. Because you got a lot of women out here, they want to tame that bear, they want to tame that tiger, they want to tame that panther. You see? And they see that we're in a very much so vulnerable state at that moment. And you got a lot of people that'll take advantage of that. And same thing with men. Men will take advantage of a woman that they see, oh shit, you ain't really, you kind of bouncing from spot to spot, shorty. I mean, just so long as you cute enough or whatever. And you got some folks that will take advantage of that. I see a woman walking on the street and it's raining. If I stop and I say, hey, you need a lift? And if my instinct and my intentions are, what if that was my sister? What if that was my mom or daughter, aunt, or even just one of my homies or one of my friends or somebody I knew? Not to mention, this is somebody's somebody. That's one intention. But if I'm rolling down my window and I'm like, shit, goddamn, Look at the way that rain dripping down them jeans. Okay, hey, you need a lift? Because whole time while we in the car, I'm hoping that maybe I can go ahead and get in your drawers. Maybe you're walking in the rain because it's something wrong, and maybe I can take advantage of the situation. So it's not about are you giving the ride and offering, it's about what are your intentions of offering. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Okay, so we went over the 5 love languages. What I would like all of you guys to do, who's ever taken the time to stay on this show and learn and put some input, go take the quiz. Go take the quiz and learn what your love language is. And then take the quiz with your better half so you can learn what they love language is. Because again, if you're not understanding each other, no matter how effectively you're communicating, no matter how much you guys resolve conflict, if that person does not feel loved, it's not going to work. See, I always thought because my father showed me love through materialistic things, that's how I would show people love. But I had to learn that that's not everybody's love language. That was my way of showing somebody's love. But again, I'm going to revert back to the example with Lena and her boyfriend. Lena did everything right. She knew his favorite colors. She knew his favorite cologne and would buy him things. But that still didn't make him feel loved. What made him feel loved were words of affirmation. And that's why it's so important to learn each other's love language. Excuse my dog, guys. To learn each other's love language so we can love each other better and we can feel loved. Again, hold on, Sir Hill's dropping some gems. I gotta post it. And I just see it all the time. Well, that feel part is big. People have to respect it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so you put me in a big house. You bought me a car. I'm rocking a big diamond. But if I'm always home alone and my love language is quality time and you're not putting in that quality time, I'm not going to feel loved. And then you're going to be mad. And again, I have to always throw it in there. It doesn't make it right. You know, because that's one of the biggest excuses when you watch the show Cheaters. Well, you were never home. You never made time for me. That person has to take accountability too. You can't be in a relationship and not put the time in. You can't put in a relationship and not give words of affirmation. And again, if that's their love language. You have to feed into that person's love language so that person can feel loved, and then they don't feel the need to have to go elsewhere. I mean, we always so quick to blame the other person. Well, why did you cheat on me? You know, but how did you contribute? I'm not saying that because a lot of us people are, well, what's wrong with me? It's not that's what's wrong with you. It's what did you do wrong? You know, after me and my ex separated and I went to therapy and I did the work, I realized that I had to take accountability for my part in the deterioration of the marriage. We're so quick to point fingers. We got married together and the marriage deteriorated together. It wasn't always, it takes two to make a thing go right. And it takes two to make a thing go wrong. And Wife School Podcast said, what happened to communication? You can't love a person the way you accept love. We're grown at this point. We have to have clear communication. And Wife School Podcast, we're going to add another word that me and Gary always throw in there. We have to have clear, effective communication. But we got to take it a notch back. Wife School Podcast, a lot of people don't even know how to communicate. So we have a lot of high expectations and we think we know what we want and what we're supposed to do, but a lot of us haven't even been able to see the example of what it is for two grown people to have a healthy relationship and be able to communicate. These past couple generations are socially awkward. They don't know how to communicate face to face. Everything is through text, email. Go ahead, Gary.
Let me also say this. It's also about, and we've said this too, having the real conversation. And a lot of couples, they've never had the real conversation. And in having the real conversation, you bring up all these different things on, feelings, emotions, childhood, and stuff like that. At least that's what's supposed to happen. But I think, through, I guess, trial and error, then you learn about stuff. But I do feel that if in the beginning that people were to really have, or if couples were to really have the real conversation to really start to lay the foundation to understand each other better, I think things would go a lot more smoother and the communication would flow a lot better. But most couples, they don't have the real conversation, right? People, I'm in a talking stage, and next thing you know, they're in a relationship, and and then a couple of months into the relationship, shit just start going left, right? I mean, you really want to get to know someone, right? And if you're really into this person and they're into you, and this is in the beginning, then you have to have the real conversation. It doesn't have to happen overnight or in a day or two. I mean, it's going to take a while, but you need to have the real conversation. Like, let me know about your background. How did you grow up? And some of these topics may be a little touchy, but still, if this is somebody that you want to have a serious relationship with and vice versa, then I think those things need to be talked about and brought up, because a lot of people, a lot of adults, they have things that they still deal with that stem from childhood, and that's a fact, right? So let me know what I'm dealing with. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but so let me know so I understand you better. Once I learn to understand you better, then okay, that makes the communication a lot easier, right? And I think that is so important. So again, first we need to start with the real conversation, at least learn how to have that. Then I think that could sort of, once that goes well, then everything else can fall into place. The great communication, the learning to love, the love languages, and all this stuff that goes with that. All right, Grace, I pass it back to you.
You're absolutely right. And Sir Hell Speaks says, I think that too many couples on the talking aspect of communication and not the listening part. Amen. And certainly not the application of what's being communicated or what was communicated. And you're absolutely right, Sir Hill, because not only because a lot of people, they don't listen to understand. They're listening to respond. So that's the first thing why we're not having effective communication. Just listen, Linda, listen. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. This is so we can listen twice as hard versus talk. We just have to listen sometimes. And I get it. A lot of us don't know how to do that. I had to learn how to do that. I always felt that I had to over talk you or interrupt you to make my point across. But that's a skill that I've had to master, and I work on it sometimes. But you have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge what's going on. When enough people told me, look, you interrupt too much, or why are you over talking me? And then of course the therapist, the same thing. You have to reflect, and you're like, well, maybe it is me. Maybe I need to do better. Maybe I need to communicate better. And that's what we have to do. And Sir Hill fixed his focused on, and see, now you guys want to come in and participate, but I'll take it because I love it. This is a good conversation. And again, these are the conversations that needs to be had. If they stop being infatuated, they can start asking the questions. I'm going to tell you guys something right now. I'm seeing a gentleman right now, and he was like, I asked him one day, do you mind me asking you all these questions? And he said, not at all. You can ask me 1,000 questions because me answering your questions will bring clarity to situations. That was refreshing because most, I'm not, okay, let's say some men don't want to be bothered. They don't want to talk too much. They don't want to communicate. But the fact that we have conversations and we ask questions, you got to have the conversations about finances. You got to have the conversations about how you're going to raise your kids. You got to have the conversations about sex. You guys think I make up all these topics for nothing? They all tie into each other. Are you sexually compatible with that person? Do you know how to resolve conflict? How do you feel about raising children? Can the stepdad discipline the children? I mean, these are things that you have to have before, not afterwards, because it's too late by then. And I'm going to keep showing the comments. Sahel says, how many good listeners do you know compared to people who can simply talk? That part, Sahel, you're absolutely right. Like I said, most of us, lovely loner said boom. And then the Wife School podcast said, at Sahel, right, when we press rewind, we heard the red flags, but we didn't listen. You know, and sometimes when I ask questions, I put people in scenarios. Well, what would you do if this happened? Because I want to see how you would react to things. And I know a lot of times we react to things, we don't know how we were going to react to things because we actually got to go through it. But there are things you should ask, you know, well, if we was a couple, how would we, I asked the gentleman I'm dating, if we was a legit, you know, an official couple, how would the bills get paid? And he told me his side of the story. If my son is acting up, no, he asked me, if your son is acting up, how would you feel about me disciplining him? I answered the question. You know, these are questions that you have to ask. You can't make the rules up in the middle of the game. You got to talk about it. You got to set boundaries. You got to set standards. You got to get to know each other so things can go smoothly. You're gonna have your up and downs, but the objective is to have more ups than downs. And again, to bring it to tonight's show, we must learn each other's love language. How I may be feel loved may not how Lena be feel loved. How Gary feels love may not how Smitty feels love. We all feel love a different way, and there's all different contributing factors why we have different ways of why we're loved. Now, is it good to find people that have the same love language? Yeah, but it's not really about all having the same love language. It's about learning each other's love language. And the Wife School said, right, Embrace the Grace, ask those questions. Absolutely, I'm going to ask those questions because one, I'm too old to mold, and two, I don't have time to second guess somebody. I'm not a mind reader. A lot of people think that we can read each other's minds, and maybe some of us can, maybe some of us can't, but we have to ask those difficult questions. We have to learn each other so we know how to navigate through the relationship. I don't know why we went away with premarital counseling. We need to have financial literacy before you get married. I mean, there's just so many things that we can do and take preventive measures to have better marriages and relationships, but we're just not taking the time because we're in a microwave relationship type of world. Netflix and you know what. Smash and dash. Nobody really wants to take the time to have the real discussions, to get to know that person, because we're too busy exercising options. And it is what it is. The gentleman I'm dating says he don't do options. It's either all or nothing. I'm like, wow. But the fact that he voiced it, I don't have to guess about it. The fact that he says this, I expect this, I expect that. Now it's up to me to sign up on it. And that's how we should be. We should be direct. We should ask the questions. We should have the real conversations. We should actively listen to our partner. But with that being said, I am going to go have our final thoughts. It was a great show. Thank you very much. We're going to go around the board. Thank you for everybody that has come up here and added value to the show. Don't forget to support the channel. You know, money sign Embrace the Grace 23. Don't be shy about it. Don't be shy. You guys know I have a computer fund to upgrade my. Smitty, I would like your final thoughts on this whole show tonight. Love language. And again, let people know at the end of your final thought where we can find you, so we can go check your awesome workout.
I would say definitely, yeah. Love language is
Smitty? Maybe he walked away.
Yeah.
So Gary, go ahead.
No,
what are
he's
your
talking,
final
Grace.
thoughts?
Hello? Can she hear me?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, no, respect. So, my whole thing is, this is actually interesting because I never really thought that deep into actual love language. I just kind of, I'm just a little more, I guess you can say, unorthodox structured. So I learned a lot tonight. I mean, honestly, like really, Grace, this was a good segment to go ahead and tap into and go ahead and talk about. I definitely learned some things tonight. And I learned a lot about how everybody's love language, this is one of those things that definitely is it's not like across the board thing. It's not a one size fits all. This is definitely, you have to get in where you fit in when it comes to love language. And I would definitely say that you should know yourself as much as possible so you can identify with what it is that you would tolerate, what you like, what you don't like, and the whole nine. So with that being said, if you want to, you can find me at Smitty's Corner. You can find me right here on Thursday nights at the lovely Embrace the Grace. And you can also catch me on IG at County King. Spell County King with the K, no spaces. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Okay, Miss Lena, thank you so much for coming up tonight. I appreciate your input, especially the young ladies. I need the input from the young ladies. What are your final thoughts on the 5 love languages?
I like the 5 love languages. It's interesting. I think it was really important. I wish I had known it before my last relationship, because sometimes I felt love starved. It didn't mean that person didn't love you. It's just they're communicating their love was different than what you wanted it to be. Like, I really needed praise and stuff, verbal praise and stuff like that, and I didn't get it. And not rarely. It would be like more visual, like, oh, you look good today. Oh, I need like, oh, you did a good job, or oh, you made dinner, it was good. That's what I need. So it was interesting, and I like what Wife School Podcast said, and hello too, when she said about listening to the red flags and hearing. Yeah, I didn't listen. I heard. And then it's also how you interpret. You might interpret it from your understanding versus how they meant it. I wanted to understand it and wanted to be how I heard it instead of listening to what they were trying to say. So I thought it was really interesting, like all the comments on what people were saying about love languages, what's important, and how you feel love should be expressed, and also how you should receive it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, thank you, Lena. Okay, Mr. Gary D, final thoughts on the 5 love languages, and let people know where we can find you.
So my final thoughts on the 5 love languages. I'll say this. I mean, it's, one, you definitely want to have the real conversation, right? Um, you know, what are your likes, dislikes, what are you into, what do you expect, what do you require, all these things, your background, all of those things. You have to have that real conversation first. And in that having the real conversation, as it's going to help your communication and make sure that y'all are clearly understanding each other, what you're saying and how you're interpreting it, because interpretation is big. So, so if you got that, then you could move, then as your communication gets better and you get into the actual relationship, and you would understand your partner a lot better. You would understand their love language, so it makes things flow so much easier. So that's what I would like. That's my thoughts on that. But also, I want to just pivot to something briefly. A lot of people, and this is going to sound weird, because of their toxic relationships, that has become a love language, right? Because they could only deal with toxic people. That's where they feel the most comfortable. So that could be a whole nother show. You can catch me on Boardwalk Global Media. We have a show called The Real Discussion every Friday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're on all streaming platforms. You can catch us you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube and IG. On Facebook, it's The Real Discussion and Boardwalk Global Media. On YouTube, it's Boardwalk Global Media. On IG, it's Boardwalk Global Media and The Real Discussion. And I pass it back to Grace. Thank you again for having me. I definitely enjoyed the conversations and the discussions. It's definitely very informative, and I hope at least one person just gets a gem out of all the things that we talk about.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So with that being said, and Gary, thank you for coming. This is my final thoughts. Again, everyone has different ways of expressing and understanding love. We don't have to speak the same language to have a lasting, fulfilling relationship. You just have to know how to communicate your needs to your partner, whatever those may be. Communication and having the real discussion is key component of every healthy relationship. And it's especially important if you wish to achieve a long-lasting relationship. And sometimes the simplest acts of love are the most powerful. So with that being said, go take the quiz, go learn what your love language is, go quiz your partner, go learn what their love language is, compare and contrast notes, and have better understanding of each other's love language so we can have better and loving relationships and embrace healthy, long relationships. So with that being said, thank you all for coming to the show. Thank you all for everybody who came on the panel, who participated in the chat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and donate to the channel. You can find me on, of course, here, Embrace the Grace on YouTube. You can find me on Embracing the Grace in Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok. You can also find me here on Thursday nights on the JVJ Network. You can find me Friday nights now on the Boardwalk Global Media. And when I'm not working overtime, you can definitely find me on Sir Hale Speaks show, because I love interacting with him and his show. He's got a lot of good stuff to offer. So please, everybody subscribe to each other's channel here, because I love it all. So again, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Don't forget, next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, what we're going to talk about, I don't know yet. It has to hit me, or somebody will email a great show idea to me. But with that being said, thank you all for embracing me. Peace. Have a good night, everybody. Really appreciate it.